Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Good, Bad, and Ugly of Business. I am your host, Catryn Becker. We love to say around here that while a smart person learns from their mistakes, a genius learns from the mistakes of others. So you guys know me. I love to bring in the best of the best so that we can learn what they've learned, so we can either avoid the mistakes completely or we can learn to fail faster. If you've been with me for a while, you know that now is the point where I like to introduce my guest and then we say hi to each other. But I have something a little bit special because today's guest is a lot special. So I'm going to kick it over to the introduction and we are going to get going. It is my pleasure to introduce you to Adam E. Coffey. As a speaker, CEO coach, and two-time best-selling author, Adam builds empires through principles supporting high-performance cultures leading to transformative exponential growth. His latest book, Empire Builder, The Road to $1 Billion, provides a roadmap paved with experience and hard work to take any business from a zero to that elusive billion-dollar exit. The idea for this book was inspired by the visionary J.T. Fox at Mega Success in Anaheim, California, when Adam dazzled a room of over 1,000 entrepreneurs and executives with his methodologies. This in turn led to the inaugural two-day Empire Builder event in Dallas, Texas, where entrepreneurs from all over the globe gathered for a deep dive of actionable step-by-step information with Adam. Adam is that rare breed of person who has the actual experience in the topic he teaches, plus the ability to captivate a room, which really creates lasting change. Hey, but don't just take my word for it. The following testimonials are from people who are just like you, who've already begun to apply the principles that Adam teaches, and they are well on their way to $1 billion. Enjoy.
I think one of the things that I learned from being at the original Empire Builder in Dallas back in February was that 30% growth is achievable. I mean, when you first hear it, you think, no way. And then when you break it down the way you do with the three key points, price and volume, improving your margins, and then the buy and build, it all starts to make sense and you can see how it's doable. So thank you so much for passing that along.
Attending Empire Builder with Adam Coffey in February was absolutely life-changing for me. I learned how to buy, build, scale a business, not only from point A to point B, but all the way through to point Z. Adam takes concepts that are very complicated and just breaks it down to the most relatable and understandable way, and I can't thank him enough.
I just want to say thank you for putting on the Empire Builder back in February of 2023. It really blessed me. The second thing I want to say that I pulled away from that is focusing on unit level of economics and really getting it right small so that I can scale in a healthy way.
And what I learned from Adam Coffey is that it's important to get the right people in place, to get the right culture, and to get the unit level economics right. And that way, we can grow the organization, we can create more partnerships in ways that are sustainable.
We really enjoyed the 9-step to 9-figure program. Some of the takeaways were the unit level economics.
And the biggest one, I think, for us was work towards the exit. We've always ran a real estate business, not as much as a business, and now we know to run it like a business so we can exit out for those multiples down the line.
I have a counseling and coaching business here in Louisville, soon to be Coppell, and just sitting in the room listening to you has helped spark ideas. It's helped me think of my business in a little bit different way. And so I just really appreciate all of that time, all of that knowledge, and all of your enthusiasm. Thank you.
Thank you for all that you've done to sort of make the impossible seem possible. Home Depot, it's a big business. Nobody would ever think they could ever touch anything like this, but you, sir, have done it in a very simple way. I know there's a lot more to learn, but you sort of laid the tracks down, sort of like a yellow brick road almost to follow.
I honestly think I got more out of it practically from your sessions than my Columbia MBA in terms of buying and building businesses. And one thing I've implemented since then, I had $1 million business last year, but I realized in order to really make it a successful $10 million business, I need to go back and recreate the foundation of a successful, very profitable $100,000 business and grow from there.
The whole concept of unit level economics and the importance of getting it right small before you build on it, because it's so easy to try and take shortcuts to get around that. So thank you very much for that. Thank you also for the individual coaching that you gave me, which really helped me when I was in the course of the deal to buy the business that I'm actually sat in right now. So this is the product of my hard work, but also of your coaching. So thank you for everything and look forward to seeing you soon.
You have taken an extremely complex MBA level subject and breaking it down into a way that's very easy to comprehend. Your style of teaching is really reflective, I think, of the person that you are, and it makes it very easy to learn from you. So thank you so much for that, and you've really impacted the way that I look at business.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you for everything.
Thank you again.
Thanks again.
So without further ado, it is my honor and pleasure to introduce you back to Adam Coffey. Adam, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. After a video like that, I don't know. It makes me want to cry. It's like, thank you so much for putting that together. It warms my soul to know that I can be helpful to people, in that fashion, which ultimately is why I'm doing this. It's to try to help the next generation of entrepreneurs and people out there who are struggling every day to build an empire, to try to give them the tools and the learnings that I've had in my career and help them along their way. So thank you for that video. Very special.
You're welcome. There's a lot more that was included, but I just wanted the highlight reel for you for this one. But everyone I reached out to was just so happy to contribute and to be part of it, because everyone has learned so much from you and will continue to learn so much. So I'm so grateful that this book is available, that now we can share it with even more people and they can take these same aha light bulb moments as well.
Well, great. Thank you. Thank you for having me back. It's good to be here.
That's right. You have the distinction of now being my second guest.
Well, there you go. I'm starting a new trend.
Absolutely. Okay. So, Empire Builder. I mean, let's go back to the first two books real quick, just so people understand. So your very first book, what came out in 2019, is the Private Equity Playbook. And that is a book for people. Yeah, right there.
That one right there.
That's the one for people who are looking to buy businesses. So then you made the counterpart, which is the Exit Strategy Playbook, which is for people who are looking to sell their business. And then, so those kind of are nice sort of, playmates, as you will. But now you have Empire Builder, The Road to $1 billion, which is great for anybody in business at any point. So
interestingly enough, but what really Private Equity Playbook, that being my first effort, and so very proud of it, and it has a cult following. That book sells phenomenally well. It was #1 this morning, 4 years after its original release. So it's like that book is just taken off and has a life of its own. But that was really just kind of geared towards two people. I'm building a business. I have a business, and my phone keeps ringing, and it's private equity, and they want to buy me, and I don't know what this is. I've heard the word. I don't know what it is, what it means. And then there was the transitioning Fortune 500 executive who's always getting a phone call. Hey, we're looking for a C-level person to come run this private equity-backed company or to be a member of the senior leadership team, and they don't have a good understanding, of that. So it was all about private equity, what it is, how it works, why we should care. Exit strategy has some portions of private equity because there's probably a 50% chance that when we sell a company, private equity will be the buyer or a private equity backed strategic. But there are a lot of other ways to exit. And as a guy who's bought 58 companies from entrepreneurs, I wanted to help guide them through the sale process, because every time I've bought, at least 56 out of 58 times I bought a company, it was the first time the entrepreneur was selling a business. And there was so much for them to learn. And so I wanted to try to educate people who had businesses that were trying to sell it. So Empire Builder, the third event, you helped write, young lady, you and everybody else, so it started, you're right, in the video, it started in Anaheim, and I was talking to 1,000 of my now best friends about business. It was received really well. That led to Empire Builder, the seminar. And when you read this, you'll essentially be attending that 2-day seminar. And that was 2 days. This will take you about 5 hours, 5.5 hours, something like that to read. So a little bit less intense than the actual in-person seminar, but that really is how I have perfected my books over the years. Is they usually start with lectures. They start as outlines, lectures. Different sections of the book become lectures that I've given at university level classes to executive MBAs, and then over time they evolve and become books. So I kind of perfect a book as a lecture series. And so you and everybody else that was in Dallas in February helped me write Empire Builder. As a matter of fact, So that seminar was in February. Literally, I went, it was like March 1st, the beginning of March is when I sat down, and then I spent 13 weeks, a chapter a week. That was my goal and objective, was, to crank out this book over about a 13-week period. And then the village gets involved, and the village are all those people who help you produce, a book and get it to market. And so, and I give thanks to everybody in the back of this. There's an acknowledgement thanking every person that worked on Empire Builder, because these are the people who are normally behind the scenes and hiding. So, but that's, Empire Builder is the how-to book. It's how do I build a successful company from scratch and go, through that first million, through that first 10 million, first 100 million. How do I scale ultimately with the goal and the vision of working towards a 9 to 10 figure exit? So I had a lot of fun with it. And since it's my third book, I think it's my best in terms of actually the writing, the process of creating a book. It was a lot of fun.
Well, I've certainly enjoyed it. I mean, I took, literally no joke, an entire legal pad of notes during the first seminar in February. I don't have great handwriting, so I'm so glad it's now condensed in the book, which makes a lot more sense going back through it than my notes ever did. So I appreciate having it in a much more handy dandy sort of function. But what I think is so great, and it's something we talk a lot about on this podcast with the different business owners, is even having an MBA, we don't learn this kind of stuff the way that you teach it in school. It's more of, you're already going to be, putting into an existing business, how to make that business run, kind of these nuts and bolts. I love how you give the destination in mind and truly make a roadmap. And you're so good at explaining that. I really appreciate that piece.
Well, it's interesting because I think life is a journey, and we are a reflection and a collection of our experiences that we gain through life collectively. And when I meet people for the first time, and I always tell them, the 4 key things about me. I'm a veteran, served in the Army, and as a young person, the military gave me a real solid foundation to build a career upon. Taught me about teamwork, discipline, leadership. Helped me learn the concepts that today in the business world we call servant leadership. As an engineer, I was a meticulous planner. As a pilot, this was a recent revelation to me, was as a pilot, we never take off without knowing where we're going. So I start with an end in mind. And I think that mentality comes from being a pilot, the meticulousness around the journey and the unit level economics, and putting together the formulas for the first million in revenue and the first million in how to support that with your capital expenditures, and all of the things that I talk about. Those are direct reflections of me being a meticulous planner as an engineer, me as a pilot learning how to start with an end in mind and then reverse engineer the journey and the trip. And so all of these life experiences that I've had, the working with Jack Welch, and under his leadership at GE during this magical time period where they're the world's largest company and tech doesn't exist, and learning how to get to a 30% compound annual growth rate and hold it for an extended period of time, which is what GE, the world's largest company, was actually doing at the time. And the stock was doubling every 2.8 years or so. And so it was, all of these experiences that I've had teach me, and then inform my thinking as it went on to me being a CEO for 21 years, building three large national empires and having billions in exits. And so this is a Cliff's Notes, Cliff's Notes version of everything that I've learned in 35 plus years of working in business on how to do the things that I do, but hopefully in a manner that is digestible and understandable by entrepreneurs. You have an MBA, not everybody does. Not everybody has a college degree, but they own businesses. And there's a lot of wealthy, successful people who never finished, a college degree. And so I try to keep everything simple and digestible, regardless of your education level. And I try to provide the Cliff's Note of how to do the things that I've done in my career for the benefit of the people who pick it up and read it.
And you've done it so masterfully. I mean, it's a wide range of people that have attended, and how each of them took, similar things out of their teaching, different things, and how they're all applying it, I think is really is really great. And a question I have for you, I'm so glad you gave us the background of being the veteran and the pilot and the GE. Now you're doing a lot of coaching. We had Philip Jepson from the UK give his testimonial, and I loved that he took that video in the business that your teaching helped him to acquire. What are you getting out of the coaching? Like, what are some of the things that you're learning? Because obviously it's always a two-way street with everyone's learning from you, but you've got to be learning from us as well.
Oh, I am. So, I think it starts with my premise, the reason for leaving being a CEO. I was bored running one company at a time. I wanted to help multiple people. My 15 years of speaking at universities in the executive MBA cohorts that they were educating, that taught me kind of how to teach, and I really got a passion for wanting to be helpful to others and to get them to understand. And so what happens though is when you take a room like we had in February in Dallas at the first Empire Builder seminar, you've got people from literally all around the world with varying skill sets, varying educational backgrounds, many different industries, and different languages. So there's all these different kinds of barriers and demographics. And so for me, what I get out of this is the enjoyment and the satisfaction of knowing that I helped make a mark on somebody else's life with the knowledge that I've been blessed with across my career. And so Phil's a great example. I coach Phil. Phil wants to buy a business, and it's all him, it's not me, but there he is sitting in the business that 5 or 6 months ago was a goal, an objective, a dream. And now he's giving a testimonial on working with me, sitting in the business he bought, that I worked with him on. How special is that? And I think across my career, even when I've had these masterful days where a business is sold and the wire transfers are hitting, and it's not about what comes into my bank account, it's me walking around my headquarters and seeing the smiles on people's faces who just became millionaires or multimillionaires for the first time in their life. And they're hitting enter on their keyboard while they're watching their Bank of America account balance. And then it hits and they're like, oh my God, it's like, and these things only happen to people I see on TV, and yet they can happen to me in the real world. And I think that was also, another one of these life lessons for me. And so what I'm getting from the people is the passion and the energy back that fuels my original desire, which was stop running one company at a time, start impacting multiple lives at a time, hopefully for the betterment of humanity, call it. It's like trying to teach. We talked about culture a lot on our first session, and I believe really strongly in culture. And I was singing, from the hymnal of, profit and culture are not mutually exclusive. You can build a great company that takes care of people, makes a great environment for them to work, and you can create maximum value for shareholders. And I think that's the mainstream today. But if you go back 25 years ago when I'm running my first company, that's not mainstream thinking. And, the world has evolved. We have to take care of people, or we're not going to get them in today's world. So all of this, if I put it together, what do I get out of you? I get the passion, the energy for learning. And then I get to see the fruits of your labors when people like Phil go out and actually do the things that I'm talking about. And so that's special to me. And it's that energy that kind of reinvigorated my career. I was bored. I was bored. I'm not bored anymore. I work more today than I ever did as a CEO. And I'm impacting more lives than I ever did as a CEO of one company. And so that's what's special for me, is seeing others learn, succeed, implement. And I earn a living doing this too, but at the end of the day, it's like, I love seeing the success that people are having. And when I know I can make that kind of difference in so many different businesses from so many different people of different walks of life and backgrounds all over the globe, I'm impacting businesses literally on every continent now. And so that's what's been fun.
That's got to be pretty cool to think on every continent. I mean, that's definitely a big feather in your cap.
it makes for some weird time zone differences. Let me tell you, it's like, okay, let me think. If I'm dealing with my friends down under, it's like, okay, afternoon for me, morning the next day for you. Hey, how's my Friday going to be tomorrow when I get there? And it's fun. It's fun. I've got people, in other parts of the world where it's like, it's the middle of the night. They're 10 o'clock at night to try to find some window that's sane enough for us both, to make it work. And it's fun. I've been meeting a lot of great people, and I think almost universally, I've enjoyed it. They care about them, their people. They care about their business. And boy, the networking that goes on at these events is also, second to none. I'll call it the JT Fox world of people. The magic of the people that are in the room and the connections that they've made. I sit on social media and I see people who are all over the world, flying around, seeing each other, visiting and doing business together. And it's special.
It is. It's so special. And I love being able to go to the events live, because there'll be someone who's, in England that we've only ever exchanged words in a Zoom chat box. Right. And then we see each other and it's like, oh my gosh, you're so-and-so. And it's really special. But now that you've gotten the opportunity to work with all of these varied entrepreneurs, varied industries, varied levels of success, what sort of patterns are you seeing among them, whether it's patterns for success or patterns of failure, and how are you helping them with that?
So I think that one of the things I noticed at first, and it wasn't just at the seminars, but then I've gotten to know a subset, call it 40, 50 people really well, because they're members of the chairman group, which is my peer group. And I think there was a lack of confidence. So it's not necessarily just skills. People can learn skills. We can read books. We can participate in seminars, listen to people like me who share their secrets learned. But I think there was an aversion to take risk. There was a lack of confidence that they could really succeed until someone helped kind of break down those barriers and get them to commit and to say, why not me? Why can't it be me? In my career now, I've spent a lot of time with a lot of, billionaires. There's 2,668 billionaires in the world. And I've been in the room with many of them, not thousands, but, I know several. And it's like, and I look at them as people and I think, I sit in their house, sit in their living room. I'm looking around and I'm thinking, there's nothing, please don't take this wrong, friends. But there's nothing special about them that makes them uniquely different than the person running a small business who, doesn't even have $1 million worth of revenue yet. It's like, if you could step out of your comfort zone, take a look at what really successful people look like, a lot of your fear starts to go away. Well, hey, I thought I was going to encounter a god, and I encountered a human being who gets up and eats and they put on clothes like I do. And it's like, okay, if they can do it, so can I. And so I saw a pattern of a lack of confidence. And I think that confidence was really holding people back from trying new things, from succeeding. They weren't dreaming big enough. They weren't setting the bar high enough. And a lot of it was just fear of failure, fear of not making the grade. And, we need to learn how to fail. We need to learn how to get knocked down and get back up. And so I know that that's kind of nebulous and it's vague and it's not uber specific, but I would also say then a secondary thing, if you want to get technical and tactical, people having true understanding of their numbers and true understanding of the basic, I talk about unit level economics all the time. I want to build a really big business. Okay. Did you build a successful small business? Well, no, or I'm still working on it. Or, okay, let's dig in and let's build a successful small business. And once we do that, I can teach you the tools on how to scale it to a much larger size, and you'll find much larger, realms of success. And so I think it was a failure to fail, a failure of taking risk, didn't want to fail, lack of confidence. And then tactically, it was, do I really understand my business? What drives profitability? Do I understand my unit level economics? And then can I just look at the exit and now reverse engineer it? And now I got a roadmap. Now I know how to get there. And so I would equate it to driver's ed. I'm teaching people how to drive their cars, how to read a map before Siri and GPS, and I'm teaching them how to read a Thomas guide and go from point A to point B. And point B is success. And success is however they define it, not me. And I think that's also been important. So in the last 12 months, I helped one entrepreneur exit his business for $150 million, 9-figure exit, thrilled to death. I helped another entrepreneur exit their business for $8.8 million, right? Magnitude's lower, but for them, happiest day of their lives. That's how they define success. And so it's not about what I think success is. It's about learning about the people, how they define success, maybe getting them to look at a little bit bigger or longer horizon, and then helping them execute and implement. And so those are the two things I think that most people I see have been lacking. It's just a pure afraid of failing, afraid of taking risk, not having a mindset that they could be successful, and then true understanding of what makes their business either successful or struggle.
It's so perfect that you mentioned that. I've got a little calendar of daily inspirational quotes that I keep on my desk. And today is from Winston Churchill. And it said, "Courage is going from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm."
Yeah. From a guy who was prime minister multiple times, who almost faced defeat in World War II, on the verge of defeat, and came back. And you know, one of the world's most inspiring leaders, you know, certainly in my mind anyway, when I do think of people, and I find inspiration from a lot of people like that. You know, Winston Churchill, Maggie Thatcher, Ronald Reagan, you know, these are people who inspired me, you know, in my life. And so I think that's a great quote to be on your calendar today.
It's perfect. And I've also been giving a lot of thought, because you do talk so much about, you know, unit level economics, and not everyone in the service industry, like doing a lot of coaching, there's not as much of that. So I think a lot in terms of my personal, the unit like an economics of me, like where am I having inefficiencies as a person? Like where can I work on things internally and make sure my personal unit level economics are on point? So that's been a lot that's been rolling around in my noggin.
Well, good. So, but unit level economics work in any kind of business. So if I manufacture things, it's what's my cost to manufacture? What's my price I can sell it for? What are the unit level economics around my widget? You know, and if I'm a service business, you know, out doing things, it might be the cost of the truck. It's the crew in the truck performing a service. You know, and if I'm a professional services company, sometimes it's a little bit different, but we all can find our unit level economics. And so, you know, we have, you know, when you're a solopreneur, you've got 2,080 hours, you know, that you can monetize in a 40-hour work week over the course of a year. How do I best monetize that? And then I'm talking about high level work, low level work. You know, how can I automate the things that I have to do, I must do, but they don't add value necessarily, but they're necessary. And then how can I focus all my time on the high value work that generates revenue or generates, you know, the positive experience for my customer, you know, whatever that might look like. And so we all have unit level economics, doesn't matter what kind of business we are. And if we nail those, and so I got to go back to statistics because I like to ground things in data. And it's like, you know, according to the Department of Labor, you know, or if I go on the Small Business Administration website, it's like there's 33 million small businesses just in our country, and they represent 99.9% of all companies in the country. And yet, in spite of the 33 million, only 7% have $1 million in revenue, and only 4% of those get to 10 million. So to be $1 million business, you're already a unicorn, you know, just to get to that level. But only 40% of the businesses that are out there are profitable, and 30% are breaking even, 30% are losing money, and 50+% will be out of business in 5 years. And so why is it so hard for people to find success? And you hear me constantly driving home the point about unit level economics, and there's, you know, a chapter on unit level economics in here too. And it's because, you know, this is the key. It's like, if you can get the unit level economics working small, you are guaranteed to find success. And as long as you will it into existence, you will be one of the 7% who gets to $1 million in revenue. And if you so desire, you will be one of the 4% of those who gets to 10 million, because if it works small, it continues to work as we get bigger and scale. Matter of fact, it gets easier as we get bigger. but it never works if it doesn't work small. So I drive it home all the time because it's the absolute key to being the 7% or the 4% of those who get to 10 million. And if you can't get there, no way are you going to build an empire that one day is going to be sold for $1 billion.
Well, and I think what I love about the statistics, and I'm glad you brought it back to that, is that it doesn't really matter so much what the economy is doing. You know, the economy is always going to be in flux and change. And so it's so easy to point to, oh, well, there's a recession, there's inflation, it's this president, it's that president, it's the war over there. But those statistics might vary a little bit, but they're pretty consistent time over time.
They are, and that's why I talk about needs versus wants. If I can build a business around taking care of someone's basic needs rather than someone's want, or desire, because when the economy goes south, people can slow down their spending on wants and they can hold off in debt. You know what? Until my TV blows up on the wall over here, I don't have to replace that thing. I want a new TV, but I don't have to have a new TV. But I do need a place to live. And I do need clean drinking water. And I do need, if there's a roof leak and I got water pouring on my head, while I'm talking to you, I got to get my roof fixed. It's like there are certain things in life we can slow down our spend, but we can't turn it off. And so that's also why I talk about the economic cycles. And if we can build a business that's focused on needs, not wants, whether it's real estate, or product or service, then we have a much higher probability of weathering any economic downturn. And then we talk about metrics and about how to build a measuring system so that we can hopefully have a crystal ball to see trouble coming and change the way our business is operating, as the economy is slowing down. And so we're pulling back before the economy slows down. And now my valleys aren't as deep. And when I see it coming and my leading indicators are showing expansion ahead, I can invest early and I can maximize the upside potential of my business. So I'm not just riding the wave to prosperity. I'm actually navigating and using radar, and I've got my metrics in place and my unit level economics work. And so I'm teaching people, when is it time to shift gears, and downshift heading into a corner or a downturn, and then, throttle that baby back. And then when do I push the throttle forward and get into my highest gear and go with speed down the straightaway? So there's all of these little secrets and nuances. And, the fact of the matter is it doesn't take a rocket scientist to learn all of this stuff. I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I'm never the smartest guy in the room. If I am, I'm in the wrong room. So I would say that average people can accomplish extraordinary things when they believe in themselves and they get a little help from people who've been on that journey before them.
I love that. So one of the things that I think is so great about you, there's very many, it's a long list, but that really sets you apart from others is that you actually walk the walk and not just talk the talk. And in that vein, you have been working on the side to set up a trade school and helping people to learn a trade. I'd love to hear a little bit more about what that experience has been like and how it kind of compares and contrasts to your CEO days.
Sure. Well, as a CEO, I ran a large and built a large trades-based business. And on any given day, I was short 250 plus, tradespeople in my company. And it was a real impediment to organic growth was, could I field enough people? My sales team could sell stuff all day long, but could I get enough skilled laborers to actually make the jobs happen, make the work happen? And so I've been around the trades my entire adult life, and I've known about this severe shortage. And I'll blame Nancy Reagan and I'll blame Hillary Clinton. So I'll blame both because I don't remember who did it, but it was like somewhere way back in that era, we told kids, you must go to college. Everyone must go to college. It's the only path to prosperity. And we overnight turned off all these trade school programs all around the country. Wake up 30, 40 years later, and what have we got? We are just massive shortage of people to do the work. Everybody wants to be a TikTok star, and everybody wants to do nothing and get a bunch of money for doing nothing. And so, but yet when my roof is leaking or my car is broken down, or my toilet is clogged, I need, my wiring just smoked. It's like, who's going to do all of this work? If we're waiting for robots, we're going to be waiting for a long time. Although I am doing a buy and build in the robotics space as well. But, so I knew about this severe shortage of tradespeople, and it's coming back to haunt us now, because what we've got is majority of tradespeople are in that baby boomer kind of category. And as they are retiring out, this shortage is getting bigger, bigger, deeper, deeper. And a lot of the trade schools that exist today, the fortunate few that have held on after 40 years of everyone being told to go to college, and then there's no jobs, and I have a bunch of student loans, and I become a barista, because I can't find meaningful work in my field because there's not enough, and I'm not making enough if I do, to survive. It's like, what? There's a path to six figures, right in front of you. It's called the trades. And so we wanted to start a trade school that was different. So the typical trade school today is built around getting government subsidies and financing. And so they have to be a certain length of hours long. I don't remember the numbers, 850 hours, 900 hours, whatever it is. So you wind up spending 2 years in school, and you come out, you've got, again, giant student loans. And then, one of my partners in this adventure is a guy named Rob Brinzer, and Rob, owns an electrician business, and Rob worked for me, at this trades-based empire that I built, and he and I both go back to GE. And so, great human being, ex-Navy SEAL, Naval Academy grad, he's the walking poster child of, of what we all would aspire to be, if we were a little boy, growing up in this country. And so he and I got together and said, look, there's this problem, and we need a more efficient path. And instead of wasting 2 years worth of people's times and putting them $30,000 in debt, let's find a way to get them the hands-on experience that they need. Because when I hire somebody out of trade school to come work in my electrician business, if I give them all the raw material they need, the 2 outlet boxes and the wire and the switches, and I tell them, go install a 3-way switch, and they don't know how to do it. And they just finished 2 years worth of school, and they can draw me a schematic of what it looks like, but they don't know how to physically go do it. And so he was pointing out this problem, which is even coming out of trade school, that people don't have the skills they need. So let's focus on shorter, more impactful routes to get people into, to be card-carrying apprentices in different trades, so that they can go to an employer and they can go on a job site day one, and under the auspices and guidance of a journeyman, they can immediately be productive for the employer who desperately needs their help. And that employer doesn't have to then take the person with 2 years worth of theory and now tie up one of their better resources to teach them how to do things, in the field. And so our trade school is short duration. It's focused 100% on hands-on learning, so that a graduate comes out with an apprentice card ready to go. And what they're on the path of now is, look, so the starting wage for an apprentice, electrician is not $100,000 a year. It's not a whole lot better than it is, someone who's working, at Target or, in a fast food joint. However, roll tape forward 2 or 3 years, 5 years, and there's a path straight to to six figures, to $100,000 a year being a tradesperson, skilled trades. And by the time I built up my master, my number of hours, so I'm a master electrician, now I can talk to you about the 58 businesses I bought, and how many trades-based businesses were guys in a truck or ladies in a truck who were, one day working, through that progression. And I just gave them $30 million to buy their business, and now they're decamillionaires, and drop the mic TikTok stars, they did it through the trades. And so we're trying to kind of reconstitute the entrepreneurial spirit, that drove so many people to be successful after World War II and through the baby boomer era. Their kids growing up, starting businesses, learning a trade, and then monetizing them right now, selling them for 10 million, 20 million, 30 million or more. I know some entrepreneurs who started businesses who sold them for hundreds of millions of dollars. And so there's this definite path to wealth that doesn't necessarily have to lead through corporate a corporate world or through college to a corporate world. We're short of airline pilots, another trade. We're short of all kinds of workers. And so as a result of that, I wanted to make an impact on trades. And in doing so, not only solve a problem that we've got just from a human perspective everywhere in the world, but then also give people an opportunity to actually progress through the trades, to become a master electrician, to own their own business, to one day grow and monetize or sell that business. And so I wanted to teach people all about that entrepreneurial dream of building a successful business, doing things with your hands, since everyone stopped doing that 30, 40 years ago.
And it's so true that, it's applicable anywhere and everywhere. Every town needs this, every business, needs these kind of things. We all need it to live. So it's really great that you're giving people an alternative, because I know for me, I never considered not going to college. Just like I would never consider not going to my 12th grade senior year, right? It just was not anything I ever considered. So it's great that there's this alternate option for people. So I appreciate your time, and I know we are running close to it, but I do have one plug I would like to make. If I could, possibly suggest a fourth book that I would love to read from you.
Okay, let's hear it.
So because we did talk so much about culture, and I know there's a piece of that within this book, I feel like there hasn't been a cultural phenomenon leadership book in business in a while. Good to Great really made a splash. There's a couple others, but I feel like there hasn't really been that next big book. And my angle for you, or my suggestion, is all of the information that you learned from Jack Welch doesn't necessarily apply in today's world. It made complete sense at the time. I mean, it was the #1 company in the world. They were obviously incredible principles, and I know you continue to utilize those principles today. So I would love a book where it's like your version of Jack Welch for today's world.
Well, I will take that under consideration, a culture book. So now that this book is done and launching soon, I'm sure it's probably out by the time that this podcast gets around. I take a year off. I'm going to take a year off, put my pencil down. And then about 12 months from now, I will be beginning to sit down and think about what's the next book. So every book, it's 2019 Private Equity Playbook, 2021 Exit Strategy Playbook, 2023 Empire Builder. And so that means 2025, I'll start writing in 2024. So probably, I'm going to take a little bit of time off, and then I'll get this thing going, cranked up, so that about this time in 2025, we'll have that next book out there. So happy to think about that culture. Culture is just so important. And I think part of it goes, back from my roots. So I was that guy who left home after high school and didn't go straight to college, and picked up my education along the way as I needed it. And as a result of that, I started at the bottom. And when you start at the bottom and work your way up, I think you remember who you were, at every rung of the ladder. And I certainly have held every job a person can hold on an org chart. And I remember the me from then, and I haven't really changed much fundamentally. Some might say I'm intelligent, I've learned. I certainly picked up school and education along the way, but I'll tell you, fundamentally, I'm that same person. And I care about the me of then, and I care about the other people who are in the trenches making life happen today. And so there is no arrogance in my vocabulary that I care about people genuinely and deeply. And it's because of that, I think I've been successful in business. You can't be successful in a company of 3,000 people, being just good at what you do. You have to inspire them all. And when they're all inspired and they all feel a part of something special and taken care of, then the energy and momentum that they can bring far exceeds anything any individual could bring on their own. So maybe we'll get there.
Well, Adam, this was so great. And your deep caring and true embodiment of servant leadership really comes across to everyone that encounters you. So I appreciate you. And for those that are just now meeting you, I encourage you to go to Adam's LinkedIn. He is absolutely phenomenal on there. It's really engaging and you'll learn something. So definitely go there. And is there anywhere else that people should go to connect with you, Adam?
AdamCoffey.com, COFFEY.com. So certainly you can go there. But I do try to interact on LinkedIn. There are days where literally 1,000 people reach out, and it takes time. I don't have an army of people. It's me, folks. When you get a response, it's me, and so I do try to be very thoughtful about responding to people. And I do the best I can to manage that. And I appreciate everybody who's out there, and I encourage it in all my books to reach out to me, on LinkedIn. I love hearing from people. I hear from people literally every day from all around the globe, who heard me on a podcast, they've read a book, and or they've engaged with my articles in Forbes or whatever else I'm doing and is going on. And so I appreciate that. Again, you give me the energy that I need to keep on going. And as long as there are people sitting in a room who want to hear, I'll continue to be in front, standing up, preaching the gospel of how to be successful in business by taking care of people, focusing on your unit level economics, taking care of people's needs, not wants. And I'll keep teaching as long as you keep showing up.
Well, we will be there. Front and center. To the listeners, thank you so much for being here. Please put in the comments what you have taken out of this interview. I love to read those. Please make sure to like and subscribe and share with your audience. And if there's someone you're curious about, please reach out. I'd love to see if I can get them as a guest on the show. Until next time, everyone, take care.
Take care, everybody.